Hey, Nani Nani! I'm Chef Benny, and welcome back to Reheated History, the show where we fire up the stove to melt away the myths of the past, one bite at a time. As a history teacher, I'm always looking for new and delicious ways to connect with the past. What did the common medieval peasant eat? What fueled the Roman gladiator? Did colonial Americans have a favorite comfort food? The answers aren't in textbooks, they're in the kitchens, farms, and fire pits of history. So, each week we'll cook our way through time, one humble, hopefully hilarious, and surprisingly tasty dish at a time. Because the best way to understand history is with our stomachs. This is Reheated History. Today we're cooking a dish that sat on the table of roughly 90% of the European population for hundreds of years. It's a meal that kept the literal backbone of human civilization from sliding into the grave during the hardest months of the year. We're traveling back to 14th century England to cook medieval peasant summer pottage. Now, when most people think of medieval food, their brains immediately go to a Hollywood movie set. You imagine a grand stone castle hall, there's a massive open fireplace roaring in the background, a king sitting on the throne, ripping a whole roasted wild boar leg apart with his bare hands, chugging a flagon of spiced wine, and tossing the bones over his shoulder to a pack of hunting hounds. Kind of cliche, right? Almost all of that is total historical fiction. I'm sorry, Hollywood. It turns out the real Middle Ages were 90% pottage and 10% dysentery. So unless your last name was Habsburg or you happen to control a massive dukedom, you were not eating meat like that. In fact, if you were a peasant living under the feudal system, hunting a wild deer or a boar in the lord's private forest was not just frowned upon, it was legally classified as poaching, and the penalty could literally be execution. The medieval elite kept the meat for themselves, while the people who actually farmed the land were left to survive on what they could pull out of their own dirt. To understand why this specific pottage exists, you have to understand the sheer, grueling cycle of the medieval calendar. We often think of summer as a time of abundance, the season of barbecues, fresh fruit, and full grocery store shelves. But in the 14th century, midsummer was actually known as the lean times, or the hungry gap. By the time July and August rolled around, the dried grains, barley, and salted meats stored from the previous winter's harvest were completely gone. They had run out. But the new autumn grain harvest hadn't arrived yet. The fields were full of wheat, but you couldn't eat it yet because if you picked it early, you kind of ruined your bread supply for the entire upcoming winter. It's your ultimate medieval torture. Here's your dinner, come back in 6 weeks. We actually have a heartbreaking first-hand poetic account of exactly what this desperate struggle felt like. It comes to us from a famous 14th century allegorical text written by William Langland called The Vision of Piers Plowman. In the poem, a personified figure named Hunger physically attacks the lazy workers, and when the main character Piers tries to step in and see what food he actually has left in his cottage to appease hunger, he reveals the bleak reality of midsummer pantry. If you'll indulge me for a second, I'd like to read directly from a modern translation of Langland's original Middle English text to see how stark it really was. "I have no penny," quoth Piers, "pullets for to buy, neither geese nor young pigs, but 2 green cheeses, a few curds and cream, an oaten cake, and 2 loaves of beans and a bran bake for my children. And yet I say, by my soul, I have no salt bacon, nor any eggs, by Christ, collops for to make, but I have parsley and leeks, and many cabbage plants, and by these means we must make do until Lammastide." Think about that. Lammastide was the traditional harvest festival at the beginning of August. Until then, Langland notes that the poor folk literally had to crowd around and feed hunger eagerly, with nothing but green leeks and peas just to survive. And that's where our pottage comes in. The word simply comes from the old French word pottage, which means that which goes into the pot. It wasn't a strict recipe, it was just a permanent, ongoing state of mind. In peasant cottage, the iron cauldron over the hearth almost never went cold. It was a perpetual soup. You started with a base of water, curds, and whatever cheap oats or bran you had left to create thick porridge. Then, day after day, you simply toss whatever greens you could pull from your garden. Now, before we look at our ingredients, let's talk about the absolute economic reality of being a medieval serf. You didn't own your land, the local lord owned it, so you were legally bound to it. You worked his fields for free several days a week, and then you worked your own tiny plot just to feed your family. And if you wanted to grind your own oats or grain to make your pottage thicker, you weren't allowed to just smash it with a rock at home. By law, you had to take your grain to the lord's official manorial mill, pay a tax to use it, and then give the miller a percentage of your food just for the privilege of not starving. The feudal system was essentially a giant corporate monopoly, and the currency was calories. Nothing says free market like being legally required to use one guy's mill and thank him for it. When you think about modern comfort food, what do we usually rely on? Potatoes, tomatoes, corn, chili peppers. But back in 1350, the Americans hadn't been encountered by Europe yet. That means no potatoes, no tomatoes, no corn, no peppers. Honestly, showing up with a bag of McDonald's fries in 1350 might genuinely get you burned at the stake. Instead, their world was entirely green and white. They relied on winter vegetables, grains, and an absolute mountain of alliums. Garlic, onions, and especially leeks. Leeks were so universally eaten in medieval Britain that the old Anglo-Saxon word for kitchen garden was literally leekton, which translates to leek enclosure. If you think about it, they were living in a literal leek monoculture. For the authentic 14th century peasant summer pottage, we have 0 measurements because medieval people didn't use digital scales. They just cooked by feel, instinct, and a prayer. But based on historical records, the grocery list is about as humble as it gets. We're going to use 4 cups of plain water. If you want to give this recipe a little bit of a boost, I recommend bone broth or chicken broth, but we're just going to use water. We're going to use a half a cup of barley pearls, but if you have steel cut oats or something similar, you can use that. It's our thickening agent. It's going to make the soup a little thicker. 2 large leeks, roughly chopped, 1 small green cabbage, shredded, 1 whole yellow onion, and a handful of wild herbs. The rule here is you grab whatever's free in the garden outside. I use parsley, thyme, sage, and bay leaf. A pinch of coarse salt. Now, this is only if you could afford it. It was actually really heavily taxed, so if you go without it, you're going to go with a more authentic flavor. So in the spirit of pottage, you honestly could just take all of this and throw it in the pot at once and see what happens. But I did it in this order. I boiled the barley like a pasta for about 10 minutes. Then I added cabbage, herbs, leeks, and onion, basically all at once. I had to add about 2 more cups of water to make it more like soup, but that's actually your call. Traditional pottage can come out more like sauerkraut. So now you're going to notice there's absolutely no meat, no butter, no black pepper. Pepper was an exotic luxury imported from India. A single pound of it in the 14th century could still cost a peasant several days' wages. Salt was taxed, pepper was a luxury import, and honestly, this is the most oppressive seasoning situation I've ever heard of. So let's dish up a bowl of this 14th century garden raid and see what we've got. All right, here we go. This is our midsummer pottage. Looks pretty bland here. Let's give it a taste. Yeah. Okay. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's definitely not great. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. This is definitely peasant food. There's just nothing in this that's tasty. It tastes like poverty and desperation and being tied to the land. You know, it's funny. The 2 ingredients I associate most with peasants is barley and cabbage, and we've got both. I can't imagine this is very filling. I imagine like the cabbage would just upset your stomach like a ton. But it's really, really cheap. I think I made this for under $10. So anyway, what's funny is that there's actually some ingredients that seem to be popping up a lot when we come to like common food. You know, barley's one of them, cabbage is another, millet, corn. I mean, you know, you name it. Like these are all kind of like, you don't really have anything else. So you made what you could. Anyway, 4 out of 10. But as always on Reheated History, my vote is only half the battle. The real judges are my family. If they approve of this herb-heavy medieval classic, we have an amazingly budget-friendly weeknight staple. And if they don't, I'm going to feed this to the chickens and see what they think. And then I'll order pizza. I'll let you know how they thought. I'll put the scores in the description. When we look past the grand myths of medieval history, past the knights in shining armor, the towering stone castles, the lavish royal banquets, we find a much more resilient story. We find everyday human beings who face the hunger gap with absolute grit and resourcefulness. They took the bare minimum from their dirt and threw it into a single pot, and they used what they had and made it work. And honestly, that real history of human survival is worth celebrating far more than any fairy tale. Well, thanks for watching Reheated History. Stay curious, stay resourceful, and this summer, remember, if your dinner is just a handful of greens from the fridge, you're not missing out. You're just eating like a 14th century survivor. Happy cooking, and I'll see you next Sunday.